Hooray! We are live. Well, welcome everybody that is joining us. I don't see anybody in the chat right now, and that's okay. This is the very first live stream that I'm doing, writing live stream. And so if you're watching the recorded version of this later, that's fine too. You're welcome to join at any point into the chat, and obviously join me as we do some writing today. So I'll just kind of get started and explain what it is, what's going on, what's the point. Oh hey, so point of this whole writing session, I guess, the free writing session every Friday, is I'm actually going to go through and I'm actually going to write at the same time alongside with whoever joins us. And you're welcome to join writing as well with me. Purpose is that you'll learn how to explore your writing. I get to write. I get to get better at writing. And then when we're finished, when we get through the whole process, if you're writing and I'm writing, we can share our writing. And I think that's the more fun part. Whether anyone watches with me or not, doesn't matter. I'll keep doing this every week until I really feel like it's not helping, but I don't know. I have a sense it's going to help. It was really helpful. So what it is if you haven't looked up what free writing is, or if you're not quite sure, there's a video on my page that you can look up that explains what it is. And I can't remember what the title is. I might have to link it in this video later so that people can go find it. But essentially that video explains the process of writing. And there's a couple of rules that we have to follow when we do free writing. One of the rules, of course, is you can't really think about it. When you do writing it like this, very creative type writing, you can't actually try to make it into something. You're not trying to shape it or form it yet. You're really just letting go entirely of control. And that's like one of the most important rules. So my rules, I have 3 rules for free writing. First one is don't think, just write, and just keep writing no matter what. You just keep going. You don't stop. You don't, if you're writing with a pen and paper, you don't actually stop your pen from moving. If you're typing, which I'm going to be doing, you don't actually stop typing. You just keep on going. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is you can't edit. You can't hit backspace if you're on a computer. You can't scratch anything out. You can't erase it. You just keep on going no matter what. And that means, you're going to make mistakes, grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes. It doesn't matter. None of that matters with this kind of writing. In fact, if you start focusing on that often is the problem. Is we get focused on trying to make things perfect, and that actually stops us from being able to be expressive, and it gets in the way. So no editing. And then the last one is you just have to let go of trying to write something good, or trying to control the narrative in some way. And I already kind of hinted at this. There's another YouTuber that says, give yourself permission to write garbage. And I like that. I like that one. Give yourself permission to write whatever, no matter what. Doesn't matter what you write. Okay, so those are our 3 rules. The next thing that's important to bring up is I like to start with a prompt, and it's a prompt, not a topic. It's the prompt what I would give my students, and it's really just I got stuck. I don't know what to write. What do I write? And so you see the prompt, read the prompt, and then okay, right, I can write that. It's just to help you get back on some kind of a track instead of going off. I will say this is kind of a side story. So I did this exercise when I was in high school with a really great teacher that I had. And he said, if the only thing you can think of is, I don't know what to write, then just write that. And so I was being kind of a smart aleck at the time. And I'm like, okay, I'll just keep on writing. I don't know what to write. And so I filled the whole page kind of like, haha, I'll show you, teacher. and he just laughed when he saw it. He didn't say anything. He didn't like criticize me or judge me. He just laughed. He thought that was funny. So then the next time I started my next free write, this is me, 15 years old. I started my next free write. I got about like 3 lines into it writing, I don't know what to write. And then suddenly it changed. There was a shift. And I actually started writing things that I wanted to write instead of what I thought he wanted, or I don't even know what I thought he wanted to see, but I just started writing good stuff. Anyway, point being, if you can't think of anything, then just write, I can't think of anything until something comes. That's pretty much the rules. There's not a lot of rules other than, just keep on going. So I don't see, I'm on YouTube's little, what do we call this? It's their platform for live streaming. I don't see that I have any sort of way to share a screen on here, and that's fine. This is a pretty basic setup. Next week I'll use my other streaming software, and then I can actually share screens with you, and you can see what I'm doing. For now, I'm going to use my phone. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. It'll be a little awkward if people hop into the live stream and they're like, what's going on? But I don't care. It's not like we're like inundated with people today. So yeah, for 10 minutes, I'm going to write. And then after the 10 minutes is up, we'll share. We'll see if we feel like sharing anything. Okay. Ready to go? 10 minutes. I got my keyboard, my document open here, my timer ready to go. If you're ready to go, follow along and we'll get started. Here goes. Oh, I should say this. Let me give you a prompt. I didn't put a prompt up. That's hilarious. Thanks for that, Arna. So the prompt is real simple. It's I remember. Okay. So if you're writing this on a piece of paper, just write that at the top. If you're typing it out, same thing. I remember ... That's it. So when you get stuck and you're like, oh, I don't know what to write, I remember, that will get you back onto track. All right. Are we ready? I'm ready. 10 minutes. Here goes. finish up the sentence if you're writing a sentence. There's like 5 seconds left. I just finished. There it is. Darth Vader. Time's up. Okay. All righty. Well, I don't know if I can. There's a way for me to show my screen. In future live streams, I'll probably put the screen up of what I wrote. Got a page and a half, Arna. Yeah, that's about what I. Wait, you over a half a page, not a page and a half. Yeah, I'm the same. I got about a half page myself. I don't know what the word count is on it. I would say that's pretty normal if you're typing. About a half page is what 10 minutes tends to come to. And anything, I mean, you can go longer with free writes. It's good to kind of like work up to 10 minutes. If 10 minutes you found was hard, 10 minutes, you can break that up a little bit. I've seen people where they they chop it up into 3-minute increments. They go 3 minutes and then stop, 3 minutes, stop. That doesn't work for me. And the reason why it doesn't work for me, and it might not work for you, but the reason it doesn't work for me is I find the first 3 minutes of writing ends up being kind of fluff for me, meaning it's not really what I was getting into. I start to get into it near the end. I find my mind is actually like exploring ideas by the time I get to about 3 minutes in, and then I start to kind of I just feel the thoughts flow a little more freely. And notice I make a distinction between thoughts and thinking. Obviously, you're not trying to shape this and turn it into something, but you can feel. I find my thoughts seem to flow a little more once I give it time. I have a good friend who is a musician, and he talks about his songwriting experience where he'll sit down and he'll do like a free write like this, and then if the free write doesn't quite go, if it's not, just not coming to him, if the inspiration isn't coming to him, he'll just write a little bit more. And then if it doesn't come, then he'll just write a little bit more. And he often finds that when he gets to that like little bit more and a little bit more, then stuff starts to work. So you got to push yourself sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to take just a minute to read over what I wrote. Now, I know that seems strange. It's like, well, I should know what I wrote. I wrote it. But no, that's not how it works, actually. With free writing, especially when you get in the zone, you often don't even know what you wrote until you go back and read it. So if I know Arna's with us here, but if you're watching this afterwards and you did the exercise, I encourage you to go now, take a minute. I'm going to take a minute and just read through what you wrote. Okay. We're not looking for anything particular, but just read through and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay. Huh. Okay. If you've had a chance to read through your writing, I'm going to start. I'm going to just share a couple of lines, and I'll actually like cut and paste some of this right into the chat. I guess, well, that won't work. I'll say it as well, because if you're watching this live, I don't think the chat, maybe the chat does come up off of a live stream. You'll know this, Arna, better than I do. I don't watch a lot of live streams. If I cut and paste the chat in, or if I chat, does the live stream keep track of who chatted and when? I really don't know the answer to that. Well, we'll test it anyway. Oh, so you can't see the chat in the recorded live stream. Okay, well then I'll say it. Oh no, I'll post it for you, Arna, just because you're here. Let's see. Tell you what, I'm gonna read the entire thing, and then I'll put the part in that that I really like. I remember being in high school and wanting to be the kid that had the cool T-shirt and car, and wish that I could tell my teacher, my friends, that I was the one they could be friends with. Now I'm much older, and I look back at the time, and I wish that I had the time and place and sense and ability to see that kid and tell him how wrong he was, how small and insignificant the things I cared about back then are. I was a kid that never wanted to be the kid that everyone liked, but deep down I wanted it so badly it surged through me like a hot fire that smoldered inside a dragon. I was obsessed with dragons. I forgot about that. I used to draw dragons everywhere, and I wished that I could be a better artist. I was never the artist that I'd hoped I would be, and as I got older, I just let that go. Funny thing about getting older, you never seem to want the things you wanted as a teenager or a child, and the things you wanted always seem so strange a few years later. I remember liking paintball so much 15 years ago. I wanted nothing more than to run a paintball field and have people play at the paintball field. That dream is so far from me today, so distant, like a tiny ash that has dried up and withered into brittle paper that can't hold its consistency. It falls apart in your hands and breaks into pieces before you realize that it is gone. And the desire to hold on to that memory isn't strong enough to keep it held, so it flakes and disintegrates into nothing more than ash. Not sure why my mind is focused on fire images lately. Maybe because I just had a fire in my backyard. That's a memory I can't shake. There's an obsession that I never let go of: fire. It's so seductive and free. It moves so smoothly. I love watching videos I've shot of fire in slow motion. It's incredible how it sways and soothes you. And when it isn't windy, like the infernal tempest that blows from the west here in Lethbridge, fire can be such a therapeutic experience that seems to calm the mind and reinvigorate the soul. I love it. As a kid, I loved buying things with it. Or buying things? I don't think I meant buying. Burning. I think I meant burning. As a kid, I loved burning things with it. I probably would have become an arsonist if it hadn't been for my dad catching me one day with fire and playing with matches. I'm sure I was scolded, but I know it was a good thing. I'm still here. I'm not on fire, and I'm not an arsonist. Yay! um, okay, so that was me sharing. Thank you. And obviously, once this builds up, and I know it will, I will get more people an opportunity. You're welcome to, Arna. I'm not going to pressure you into sharing anything that you wrote, but I think that's one of the values of doing a free write is afterwards you get a chance to share. And obviously, nobody has to share the whole thing, that's for sure. But I sometimes will share just a line, especially if it's a really private free write. Sometimes they end up being private, meaning like nobody needs to read it other than you. But occasionally you write stuff that kind of jumps out at you. And as I read this, a couple of lines that I really liked. I loved that it kind of became this thing about fire. Okay. I wasn't intending it to be. The title was I Remember. Um, and I mean, I remember that's where it started, this idea of remembering things. And as my mind started to chew on that a little bit, the idea of remembering things, I just started to go there in my mind. And it was funny because I hadn't even thought of that, was no intention of talking about fire at all. But that's just where my brain went. And I love that it kind of I ended up taking that idea about fire, exploring it a bit, kind of recently remembering a fire. We have a little fire pit in our backyard. We were having a fire, and then remembering that memory of being a kid, and oh man, I was obsessed with fire. I'd burn down anything that I was allowed to burn for a while. And yeah, it was crazy. I'm like I say, I probably would have become an arsonist if it wasn't for my dad catching me. Um, yeah, Arna, if you've got a line from yours, go ahead and throw it up in the chat. I'd love to hear it. Feel free to share it. Um, and then for those who, obviously, if you're just watching this later, there's yeah, there's no way for you to share that. Oh, you shared it in Discord. Okay. Do you mind me sharing that here then, or you just like not the whole thing, but like, sorry, I know Arna from another channel that I do with a friend, and so we have a Discord for that channel. Um, okay. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I had to ask. I got to open my Discord. Da, da, da. Okay, where download started. Oh, it doesn't want to open up. Oh well. Yeah, it comes out as like pure code. That's okay. Yeah, not to worry, Arna. Yeah, I don't want to put I've only got one person in this chat, and I don't want to put you on the spot. Normally, I do this in front of a class of like 30, 40 kids, and it's lucky if one person shares what they wrote. Um, so I wouldn't worry too much if we can't read yours today. But I will say this for everyone that does watch this, and for you too, Arna, uh, keep keep this somewhere. Often I've found with free writing, whether you wrote something great or not, I think that's kind of what I'm getting at here. If you wrote something that you're kind of like, I'm not that proud of it. Well, at least it gives you a place to start from. Um, right? And you can actually go back and read some of your first free writes. And that's what I wish. I wish little teenager Nathan had kept his free writes from like what would that have been? Like 1990? It's probably the first year I started doing that. Because I would have been able to see the growth that I've had in my career as a writer. And I'd be able to look back and see like, oh man, I can't believe those were that's what my brain wouldn't let go of back then. So hang on to the writing, especially free writing, because it is you'll see that it grows over time. It is like a muscle, I would say, where you it's like doing exercise. You get better at it over time by putting in the time and effort to change and fix. And it's not that you're editing necessarily, but you are, in that you get better at being free with your writing, and then you get better at exploring um, areas that perhaps you might not explore. All right. I thought that was great. Thank you for joining me, Arna. You're amazing. Um, and oh, we got another one. Let me try this one. Oh, it does not. It won't let me, unfortunately. It's the file name doesn't work. Yeah, maybe I would say this. And what you can do is if you put it into like a what's the document I'm trying to think of? Google Doc. Open up Google Docs, make a digital doc, and then cut and paste into the digital doc the content. That might work too. But we'll do that in a future one. We don't need to spend too much time on it today. Um, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm gonna wrap things up and just say thanks, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Next week we're gonna do the same thing. So if you watch this later and you're kind of like, I'd like to join in on that next week. We're gonna do a variation next week, a little bit different. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite ways to do free writing. But come next week, and you'll be able to join in with the writing and hopefully improve yours. Cool. Thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you next week.